So, ladies and gentlemen, there is a groin epidemic within the Buffalo Bills. We just ended up getting the injury report that we are about to unpack ad nauseum. And we also ended up getting the Baltimore Ravens injury report. All of us have been patiently awaiting. And I really think some of the key injuries we see on both sides of the field, the Bills and the Ravens, are going to be very telling. A lot more questions for the Buffalo Bills than the Baltimore Ravens. However, the Ravens have a couple of players that may make them have to completely shift their game plan, specifically on the offensive side of the football. I am so excited to unpack this with you guys. If you are just coming in, my name is Dan Mitchell. I am the largest Buffalo Bills creator on the internet with all platforms combined. I stream Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. EST, and very oftentimes I go live twice a day, especially when there is some breaking news that we need to discuss. As you're coming in, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up sign. And at the exact same time, guys, make sure you subscribe and you turn on bell notifications because we love talking Buffalo Bills football over here. As always, I'm a nosy dude, so make sure you tell me where you are tuning in from. Do not be shy. I am talking to all of the lurkers in the chat, each and every single one of you. Let me know where you are tuning in from. I'm always curious to see how far this fan base truly extends. Now, guys, I need to give a giant shout out today to our proud partner, and that just so happens to be Sleeper. Folks, Sleeper is by and large the best DFS platform on the market, player prop parlay platform that you can find. And get this, they are currently matching $100 of your first deposit all the way up to 100% of that, folks. That is free money simply just by signing up and putting in your initial deposit. And I got to tell you what, folks, right now they have all of the lines for each and every single one of the NFL games. For example, do we think that Saquon Barkley is going to rush over 82.5 yards on the Dallas Cowboys? I think so. What about Malik Neighbors? Will Malik Neighbors go over 63.5 yards against, of course, so the Philadelphia Eagles? What about Caleb Williams? Will he go over? Whatever it is, folks, you need to be able to take advantage of all of this. I'm talking crazy payouts, well over 1,000% payout sometimes, 1,000x. You do not want to miss out on this. I'm going to go ahead and give you a parlay idea right here. Say, for example, that I took Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, and CeeDee Lamb to go over their rushing, receiving, and touchdowns. A payout right here would be, look at that, for $10, $43. It's an absolutely beautiful thing. Shout out to Sleeper for being a proud partner of today's channel. And let's get into business. Matthew C has come in saying, honestly, it is what it is. We beat them in the playoffs with a bad defense. We have Delran, New Jersey is in the building. Guys, do not be shy. Let me know where you're tuning in from. North Tonawanda is in the building. Northern Virginia. Guys, lurkers indeed. Lurkers. Let me know where you're tuning in from. We have Northern Virginia. New Mexico is in the building. New London, Connecticut. Lurker from Inglewood, California. That's all right, man. Lurk away, my boy. Lurk away. I just appreciate you tuning in and showing a little bit of love for me. Our defense is looking absolutely destroyed. Still in Georgia, Dan. Max is saying he's still in Georgia. Have not moved. Virginia's in the building. Rochester, New York is in the building. Brasher Falls, New York is in the building. Rochester, New York. Niagara Falls. Dubai is in the building. Adam131, welcome, man. Good evening to you, might I say. Ocala, Florida, David Phillips. We have Slick NHL. Hey, what's going on, man? Northern Virginia is in the building as well, as 133 of you are currently rolling in. Now, guys, as you know, the Buffalo Bills ultimately ended up releasing their injury report. And last year, funny enough, we had a bit of an epidemic when it came down to wrist injuries with this team. Was half of the reason why we wanted our current strength and conditioning coach to be fired, because literally we were like, what the hell is going on with the wrist? I'll tell you what, it sounds like the groin issue or groin injuries are wreaking havoc within this Buffalo Bills locker room. Now, we do have a couple of interesting updates, most notably Tre'Davious White. When he was carted off of the field just a couple of weeks ago, we thought the worst. We thought that it was a knee injury. We thought that he may have re-aggravated a prior ACL issue. And then we heard that it was a lower leg injury. And that's just a fancy way of saying that you have an ankle injury here. But now we're looking at a groin injury for Tre'Davious White. He did not practice. It is currently Wednesday. And if you remember correctly, we were able to release the full depth chart for Buffalo. And Tre'Davious White is first on the depth chart for CB2. Directly behind him, obviously, being Ingram at the end of the day. So will Trey White get some reps tomorrow? Will he be limited? I will probably go off and say that if Tre'Davious White is not at the very least a limited participant tomorrow, I think that we ultimately need to accept the fact that we're going to be rolling out with Ingram as CB2 or maybe even Dorian Strong. I'm not sure which one of those you would feel more comfortable with. Perhaps I will have to put that on the Garage Beer hotline for all of you to react to a bit later on in this episode. But the fact that Trey White has a groin issue, certainly intriguing. Good news is that our slot receiver, Khalil Shakir, he was a full participant with his high ankle sprain. Based off of all signs, it looks like he's going to be a full go on Sunday. I think that that was really what we were anticipating once the injury occurred, especially based off of the recovery timeline for a high ankle sprain. But remember, right? Several injury reports that I remember from last year, we have seen more often than not a player be a full participant on Wednesday, but then be limited again on Thursday. However, my confidence level continuously grows that Shakir is going to be completely fine. Have Keon Coleman with a groin injury that is also limited. Is somebody just going around and just kicking these fools in the nuts or something along those lines? I'm just kidding. I am well aware that that doesn't mean that it's a groin injury. But still wild, man. A lot of knick-knack injuries are occurring in practice while we were gone. But we had Keon as a limited participant. Obviously, Dwayne Carter with an Achilles injury. He is out for the foreseeable future, quote unquote. Christian Benford with a groin. He was limited, but per reports, based off of some of the beat reporters that were there in practice, many are saying that Christian Benford is completely fine. He looked good. So I'm not so much running around all scared that Benford is not going to be available. I think he is a go. But bar none, my biggest concern on this injury list is once again we see our kicker, Tyler Bass. Tyler Bass, my friends, is limited with a left hip and a groin injury. He has had pelvic soreness. He has had a groin/left hip problem since one of the very first training camps at St. John Fisher. He missed the vast majority of training camp. He missed all but one preseason game where he ended up missing a kick. And Buffalo, as early as 2 days ago, brought in 3 kickers on a workout. I have not heard any news that we have signed any of these guys. But what the hell is going on with Tyler Bass? Is this going to be an X factor for us? Are we concerned that Tyler Bass is going to go out there and be playing at nowhere near 100%, especially against this defense that we are seeing from Baltimore coming out there? So all in all, it's not as bad as many of us were probably predicting toward the beginning of training camp. Still less than ideal. I'm a bit nervous about who's starting if Trey White cannot go. And I'm super nervous about Tyler Bass as well, since this has been a long and grueling injury from this player for quite some time. So we're going to have to see. Now, I can't not talk about the Ravens injury report because it's something that we need to be paying attention to here. And I really think that Baltimore is going to have to switch up their overall game plan with the Buffalo Bills on Sunday because of this. And granted, it's early. It really, really is. But when you look at the Baltimore Ravens offense, what is their identity? Don't bother guessing. It's running the football. Running the football. They ran the football more than anybody in the NFL, and they threw the football the least amount of anybody in the NFL. They are a run first team. That is their identity statistically for the past couple of seasons. And when you ultimately end up looking at the Ravens report, which I am pulling up as we speak right now, have some interesting things to take a look at. We have Isaiah Likely, who has all but been confirmed to be out on Sunday. So missing out on their tight end two. Some Baltimore Ravens fans may even say that he is tight end one over there. And Patrick Ricard, their fullback, was also a do not practice designation. Folks, I got to tell you, I have to tell you right now. Say, for example, that Isaiah Likely and Patrick Ricard are not out on the field for the Baltimore Ravens. That does them no favors in the run game. Zero. You are taking off their best run blocking tight end, and you are taking one of the engines that makes that run game go in Patrick Ricard from the fullback perspective. Ricard does not get enough love. In my opinion, I think he's the best fullback in all of football, bar none, zero questions asked. Both of them are listed as did not practice. If either of them are listed as a do not practice, I think Isaiah Likely is all but a wash. It's been confirmed he's not going to be out there. But if Ricard is set up as a do not practice, then I think that completely changes everything that I believe Baltimore was going to want to do. I feel like that is the case. Now, we did see Jair Alexander. Some Ravens beat reporters, some Ravens fans were optimistic today because he was practicing for the first time since August 9th, still recovering from an injury. I don't know whether or not that he's going to be rolled out there, but one thing I do know is I genuinely believe he's going to be on a pitch count. Like when I'm looking from a Baltimore Ravens fan's perspective, and say that I were to put myself in the shoes of the front office, and Ravens fans watching this, please let me know if you were on the same page as myself. But a Jair Alexander, to me, is more of a mid-season playoffs type acquisition. Say, for example, that I was in charge and I was the GM. I would not want him to go out there and play a meaningful game on week one, even if he is ready. I would like for him to be on a pitch count. I wouldn't want him to exceed anywhere between 15 to 20%. Because while it's optimistic that he's out there practicing, it does not really make a lot of sense to go out there and risk a player who is known to be injury prone. He hasn't played a full season, I think, since 2021. Say that I remember correctly. So I think that that's something to ponder. Are the Baltimore Ravens going to risk it and put Jair Alexander out there? Is he going to be on a pitch count? As of today, he was limited with his knee injury. Now, say, for example, that you were to tune into my earlier stream this morning. We saw what some matchups would look like if, of course, Jair was not able to go. If Jair was not able to go, more than likely they would be rolling out Owuzie. He was an acquisition from them a couple of seasons back. He's not bad, but I do like a Keon Coleman matchup against Owuzie more so than I like a Jair Alexander against Keon Coleman type matchup. I've said this before. I feel very good about Joshua Palmer against Nate Wiggins. I don't particularly feel too good about Marlon Humphrey against Khalil Shakir. That's probably not all that ideal, but I think having Jair out there is going to make me change a little bit of how I expect this Buffalo Bills team to attack this Baltimore Ravens defense. That's kind of where I'm at. So for the most part, guys, when I look at both of these reports, right? I have a feeling and I feel that Buffalo is in a much better position as far as health of key players. I feel fantastic that we have a healthy Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard going up against this offense, especially without Isaiah Likely, especially without Patrick Ricard. I feel very confident about that. I really do. I am that much more confident in that. A concern is going to be, is Tre'Davious White going to be out there? And even if Tre'Davious White is rushed back, is that the best idea for this team? Should we just shut up and trust that maybe Ingram can live up to the call. And maybe we can rely on Bernard and Matt Milano to cover a little bit more ground outside of the numbers in coverage as an insurance policy. Maybe we can rely on Taylor Rapp to also cover quite a bit of ground in coverage that could help out with this. Because say that Ingram and or Dorian Strong are going to be out there, more than likely that corner is going to be picked on, right? Like Zay Flowers is typically better out on the slot. He's probably mostly going to be lining up against Taron Johnson, right? And then, so a D-Hop is more than likely going to be lined up on CB2. And Rashad Bateman is more than likely going to be lined up against Christian Benford. That's more than likely where the majority of the snaps are going to go. So when I look at what CB2 I probably trust a bit more to cover a player like DeAndre Hopkins, number one, it's Tre'Davious White. Like, he's physical, he's lengthy. And so I think that he would be able to have a pretty good matchup against D-Hop. But say that I had to choose between either Dorian Strong or Ingram, yeah, I'm going with Ingram. I'm definitely going with Ingram. But again, I'm curious to see what Baltimore's game plan is if, for example, that Patrick Ricard is not able to go. Because we already know that Isaiah Likely is not healthy. So what the hell is their game plan? That becomes the question to me. Statement. So Jair is paper mache. If he plays, I'm putting Keon against him and saying, be a physical dog, punish him, and make him tap out. That is just my opinion. Right? And say that I was a coach as well, or say that I was a defensive coordinator. I feel like that they're not delusional. I feel like that so they probably should expect that and probably should anticipate that. So say that I was the coach, I wouldn't want to risk Jair. Because that right there is a playoff move. That right there is make sure this guy stays healthy and pray to God that a Woozy will be able to fill in while he recovers. Because Ravens fans, I can promise you this. And so a Woozy, much better player than Brandon Stevens was last year. Like, there is only one way to go, and that is up from improving from what Brandon Stevens was for your secondary. So if I'm a Ravens fan, I'm actually hoping that Jair is not out there because that's more of a long-term investment for me. That, of course, is on me. So Shakir is back. Spidey Munn is coming in. Yes, he was a full participant in practice today. Barring any sort of setback, it looks like all signs are trending toward him playing and being a starting wide receiver on week 1. One thing I can say about this is I'm not expecting a big game from Shakir. Number one, because he is coming off of an injury. He's missed quite a bit of reps. And he probably has the most or the least favorable matchup going up against Marlon Humphreys. I think Josh Allen is probably not going to be feeding him as many targets. Now, so we are talking about a base 3-4 type defense right over in Baltimore. I genuinely think this might be a Dalton Kincaid game, and surprisingly enough. And so especially attacking those linebackers, because Roquan Smith's the man. He certainly is. But I do think that short middle of the field is very attractive. So whether or not that is a Dalton Kincaid type game with tight ends, whether or not that this is going to be a Josh Palmer, like running a bunch of slants or digs or something along those lines right in the intermediary side of the field, then we'll see. Don't be surprised as well if Josh targets Malachi Starks a couple of times too. Not because I think it's a good idea, but because I know that Malachi Starks said that he wants to intercept Josh Allen. And Josh Allen is petty. He is very petty. The last DB that said anything negative about Josh Allen, he completely owned him for the rest of his career. Cough, cough, Jalen Ramsey. I just have a feeling his mind is probably just like, okay, Rook, so you want to talk about that? All right, I am going to target you. So we will see. Kincaid is going off week 1 at home. Elite with the hot takes. Guys, we have 273 of you in here right now, 146 of you on YouTube, 84 of you on X. Do me a favor as you're coming in, hit that thumbs up sign. It is the easiest way to show love over here on this channel. Help me out and let's continue to grow this live chat community. We can very easily, at one point during the season, have well over 500 people in each and every single stream, as long as everybody hits that thumbs up sign. Think of it this way. You have the ability of making new friends in the live chat. That's a beautiful thing. We have Armando in the building. Hey, Dan from Covina, California. What's going on, Armando? I hope all is well. You are a Georgia Bulldogs fan, as am I. With that being said, in the losses that the Bulldogs took, Starks was picked on consistently. Wouldn't that be the spot to go out with the wide receivers? You need to be able to take advantage of a rookie. I could care less how good you looked in college. If you were a rookie, you are going to be having your welcome to the NFL moment. It's how it is. There are very few positions coming out of college, Billy, that I don't believe there takes at least half a season to really dust off and make the adjustment into the full speed of the NFL. And the only position that I really think there's no learning curve at all, it's running back. That is quite largely the only one that I really feel is not that different. But yeah, for sure. Go on ahead, pick on Malachi Starks and make it happen. We have Joey Gonzalez is coming in. If we were to lose Benford, we would be so screwed. We have Joey Gonzalez. Well, based off of reports with Benford, while he's listed as limited with a groin injury, he did look good at practice, somebody said. So maybe he's acting very well and it's way more serious than we think, or most signs are just pointing into the direction that we are going to be having CB1 out there making it happen. So Mark Andrews or Kincaid in fantasy this week. Carson. Oh, man. I'd probably go with Dalton Kincaid because I do like our linebackers in coverage, and I do trust Matt Milano versus Mark Andrews. Baltimore D kind of struggles with outside runs. Mr. Greg Marty is coming on in. Well, I'll tell you what. Say that we can implement that. That's going to be great. I have a hard time seeing how Buffalo is going to be able to really pound the A gaps with James Cook, Ray Davis, etc. Like, we're talking about one of the best run defenses in the NFL last year, so we're going to have to see. Breaking news, Thurman Thomas just got signed to the Bills practice squad. I mean, and so at this point, why not, right? Statement. I think McDermott only said we'll see on Benford playing on Sunday because he doesn't want the Ravens to know if he is playing or not. Yeah, like there's going to be some degree of gamesmanship during this time, right, folks? And the perfect example was Tre'Davious White. Like, we finally just learned what was wrong with Trey White today. Like, was all speculation from the very beginning. It started off, oh my God, it's a knee. And then we heard it was a lower leg. And then now it's a groin. And the fact he's not practicing is certainly a red flag. So here's my deal. Say that I were to guess based off of this injury report, White is going to be the only player that's unavailable and due to injury. Yeah, he is going to be the only player that is unavailable based off of that. And edge rushers can often take off immediately. Dan. And so I would also argue that the linebacker position between college level and NFL level, not much different. You know, quick if they got it or they don't have it. True. I don't hate that take at all. I do not hate that take at all. Matthew is coming in. We have Kyle Hamilton is going to be closer to the line now with Marlon in the slot. I actually think the Ravens are weaker in the deep secondary now that Hamilton isn't back there. Target the rookie. Yeah. Some weaknesses that I have been seeing and something I really hope that Josh targets is Malachi Starks, number one, like you said. Say that Jair is out there. So like my buddy Bills fan pointed out, and very solid take, I'd probably still target Jair. He's nowhere near 100%. And so that much I can assure you. especially with a physical wide receiver like Keon Coleman. Say that it's not Jair Alexander. I do really like the matchup with Keon Coleman and a Woozy out on the outside. And I do like Josh Palmer versus Nate Wiggins. I really like that matchup too. So attack the perimeter corners regardless of who is CB1 or CB2. I'd probably limit a lot of the targets to Khalil Shakir since Humphreys is probably going to be on him. And so we're probably going to have to see. So Ravens are probably going to be running a lot of single high, but we will see. Statement. Heard the Bills restructured Dawkins' contract. I think we maybe get a defensive tackle as a Dwayne Carter replacement or maybe save the cap for the trade deadline. So I think it's more so that, Carl. So it's more so of us just getting as close to cap compliance or us to have a bit of like cushion in case we need to make a move at the trade deadline. I don't think we're going to be spending like sort of any resources on a defensive tackle because as much as I love Carter, as much as I was high on Carter, he would have been a healthy scratch anyway. So say that Buffalo is really wanting to bring somebody back up. I'm not even convinced that they will elevate somebody from the practice squad, but say that they do, it's probably going to be Zion Laug, right? And so if that's the case, then he'll probably be a healthy scratch. And what's the point of elevating him in the first place? So I don't feel like an elevation is going to happen. But here we are. I remember Prime Thurman would be awesome to have. Man, we have Jays coming in. Shakir is healthy and playing at full capacity, which is great. Benford being limited isn't bad because remember, he hasn't practiced since August 21st. And based off of everything that I've heard from practice, he looked good. So it's probably more like rate of this Bills coaching staff erring with the side of caution and to make sure that he doesn't re-aggravate anything. And that much I'm not upset about that. And so I very rarely would be. 157 of you are on YouTube right now, folks. Hit that thumbs up sign. Do not be shy. And roll call in the chat and let me know where you are tuning in from. I'm talking to all the lurkers in here as well. Let me know where you're tuning in from if you haven't already. I remember the Prime Thurman. That would be awesome. Yeah, but White knows the system. He knows the system. He can sit out all week and still play. For sure, man. I'm sitting there. I'm hoping. And so I'm hoping. Because I'm not too comfortable with Ingram going out there and having to guard somebody. If he had to guard somebody, I genuinely hope that it's D-Hop. And so D-Hop is 33 years old. He's not the same wide receiver that he used to be. He's more of a possession receiver now. He's not really much of a threat like when it comes into yards after the catch, but he still has his length. He still has that contested catch sort of situation with himself. So we'll see. We will see. What's going on with Jordan Phillips? Is he getting promoted? I don't believe he would because so I think that Dwayne Carter probably would have been a healthy scratch, say that he didn't get hurt. So we would have to elevate somebody from the practice squad to be a healthy scratch, right? And keep in mind, we can only elevate these guys 3 games all season before we're required to sign them to the 53-man roster. So I think Jordan Phillips is going to be put on ice, barring something crazy, if you will. Buffalo Mafia from Miami, DA the best. What is going on? I am in Montreal. Slick NHL is in the building. Syracuse, New York is in the building, man. Do not be shy, folks. Mike, what's going on, man? I hope all is well with you. While I do believe Coleman will be available on Sunday, if he somehow can't play on Sunday, do the Bills make an elevation for Gabriel Davis? No. So unfortunately, we heard from Sean McDermott earlier today, and Gabe Davis is still hurt. He's signed to the practice squad, but he has the designation injured. He's still recovering from his injury last year. It sounds like McDermott seems to be pretty keen on eventually giving Gabe Davis that role on the offense as a wide receiver. But Gabe is still injured. So while he's on the practice squad, he's still recovering from his injury. So I do not see that. Bob, then go punch Bob again today and get it out of your system. He will play. Oh, man. Bob's been getting the business today. Let me tell you what. Give it to me straight. Are we cooked right now, Dan? Mike McNeely's coming in with a great question. Mike, no. No, not at all. Because while we're looking at this injury report, I do want to point out something that I feel like a lot of us should be taking a look at. We have Isaiah Likely and Patrick Ricard are do not practice designations. So Isaiah Likely being out, it's not so much that I think that like that's a massive piece rate of the receiving game, but his run blocking ability is incredible. He is a great run blocking tight end. He is a big piece to their run game. He has been. And shout out Coastal Carolina, by the way. He was the tight end over at Coastal Carolina for a long time. And if Patrick Ricard is out too with a calf, that's removing two of the most important pieces to your run offense. Now, Derrick Henry's very good. He's probably still good for 60 to 70 yards without these two. But I think that makes the Ravens go back to the drawing board and figure out a different way to leverage the Buffalo Bills rather than attempting to pound it down our throat with Derrick Henry. So as far as key pieces that are listed as did not practice, so the Ravens have two very important pieces, three of them. Three very important pieces are on this injury report right now, where Buffalo, so our biggest concern is a CB2. So I'd rather have Buffalo's injury report, of course, than Baltimore's. That's how I'm looking at the entire situation. Shakir is in the flex for week 1 for sure. Glad he is healing up. I got to see if I'm going to add Shakir to my flex. Do you think we should treat Elijah Moore and bring up Gabe Davis to the starting lineup? So Gabe is still injured. He's on the practice squad, but he's still rehabbing. If, for example, Gabe is brought up, I think Elijah Moore would be the odd man out, but who knows? Like maybe they end up sacrificing Shavers at some point if, for example, Buffalo believes that they need Gabe Davis out there. That's kind of where we're at. We have Brazil is in the building. Canal, what's going on, man? Hope all is well. Still in Virginia, Dan. Watch out for Bob. He has that evil eye. All right. Hey, guys, listen. Y'all love when I beat the hell out of this boy. Y'all just love it. There you go. There you go, folks. Stay tuned for more Bob beatdowns during the season. And by the way, guys, I really hope that all of you tune into my live play-by-play reaction on Sunday night when I react to Bills Ravens. It's going to be a great time. From Buffalo, but I live in Texas. Jeff, Texas forever, straight. Texas forever. We have Bills fan 7883. I'm comfortable with Ingram and Strong. I thought they both had good camps. Also, McDermott being so bullish on Bishop, a safety, has to mean something. I am expecting big things from him. So I'll tell you what, Bills fan, why I'm optimistic about Cole Bishop for week 1. Maybe I'll hold off on the season. But why I like it from a strategic standpoint is Baltimore is not the type of team where we're going to see Lamar Jackson attempt more than 3 to 4 passes downfield, 20-plus yards. Maybe sparingly. It's largely going to be a run-first type offense. It's probably going to be a lot of short passes, and they have the wide receivers that can create yards after the catch. Having a player like Cole Bishop, while he has question marks with coverage capabilities, he's known to be a run-stopping safety. He's a hard tackler. He's super physical. So having a safety like that on that second level makes me feel very good, especially with the specific game plan I think that Baltimore is going to be rolling out. Same thing with Taylor Rapp, right? Rapp is slept on with his coverage capabilities. He really is. He had 4 picks last year. He led the team in interceptions. So say that we need to put Cole Bishop in the box 60% of the time, far more efficient that way. And even coming downhill, say that we do ultimately end up running the 2-high shell. So I do actually think that Cole Bishop is a good move for the type of offense that we're going up against on week 1. Maybe once we start going up against teams that are more of an air raid attack that maybe stretch the field a bit more than Baltimore does, maybe I'll have a different conversation or maybe I'll have a different thought process. But So I feel like you and I are on the exact same page. No, I don't want to get rid of Shavers. And I know half of Bills Mafia would completely riot if that was the case. We have to protect Shavers at all costs. Question, it may be dumb, but do NFL rosters expand for the playoff like MLB rosters? It is not a dumb question at all, my friend. They do not. They stay at 53 all season long and into the playoffs. All season long and into the playoffs. Hermosa, Florida, but grew up in Mafia country. Pat, what is going on? Thank you for the shout out. Jeff, no problem, man. Thank you for tuning in and spending a little bit of time with me this afternoon, my friend. Be sure to leave out chicken wings for Josh Allen on game day eve. Don't forget, and a shot of Ravens blood. Go Bills. Dave Rock, 69, man. He's coming in with these superstitions. I can appreciate that. And we will see. We have Noah Skates is coming in saying Ravens by 50. That's ballsy. That is ballsy, my friend. I disagree. Knicks 716 hot take. We limit Lamar to less than 250 passing yards and only allow Lamar to score twice, but he does get 100 yards rushing. And we also make Henry irrelevant. So to me, the biggest key to this game, is if Buffalo can force Baltimore to punt the football 4 times, we win. That is what I am looking at. And it's going to be a challenge because Baltimore was the second best team in the NFL last year for converting third downs. And Buffalo was the 27th best team in preventing third downs. We had an abysmal third down defense. And this offseason, we, at least on paper, addressed it by heavily focusing on the defensive line, depth in the draft and free agency, the whole 9. So as long as we can just get a couple of third down stops, force them to punt the football, force their brand new kicker to win them this game or put points on the board, which, by the way, is something to watch out for. Yes, we're nervous about Tyler Bass, but I can guarantee you that Ravens fans are concerned about their brand new kicker because they're literally going from the greatest of all time, one of the greatest of all time, to somebody who is largely an unknown. So that's kind of where my thought process is for the most part. Coleman has been healthy all camp, and now he's just on the injury report. That one is weird to me, for sure. For sure. Ravens is always in third and short, for sure. For sure. Go Dolphins from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Linda, what's going on? How you doing? Are we waiting for Fridays to do a score prediction? Pez is coming in. I might do it tomorrow. And so I might go on ahead and do like my preview and prediction and things I need from the Buffalo Bills tomorrow. But so I'm feeling good about this game. And so I'm feeling good about it. I'm probably so I have the Bills winning, but it's going to be a heart attack game. It's going to be one of those games that's probably determined by the last minute. It's going to be close. It's going to come down to who has last possession more than likely. But I will end up giving it to Buffalo. Based off a home field advantage. Bills pass rush needs to create pressure. I'm really hoping for a big game out of a newly extended Gregory Rousseau. Yeah, dude, him and Bosa, right? So we got Bosa on this team for that reason alone. And why I'm also even further encouraged about our ability to stop the run is loved what I saw from Deion Walker, loved what I saw from Greg Rousseau, and Bosa. And this is oftentimes not talked about enough. Bosa is very good against the run. And even Landon Jackson is good against the run, but he'll probably be a healthy scratch. Loco is coming in. How do you feel with the Bills having the worst receiving core in the AFC East and potentially given the injuries? So we didn't have an issue last year with it, right? So we were the highest scoring offense in the NFL last year with playoffs included 30.3 points per game. And with Josh Allen, it ended up breaking records for going on ahead and spreading the football around. When you have an elite quarterback, you can get away with having the worst wide receiving core in the NFL. Like, you can look at probably several teams in this league that had a quote unquote elite wide receiving core, right? How did they do last year? So the Miami Dolphins, okay, what did they do last year? Okay, what did the Cincinnati Bengals do last year? And they had the best wide receiver tandem, right? Um, so you look at the championship series. So with the AFC and the NFC championship games, I'm sorry, but the Kansas City Chiefs do not have an elite wide receiving core. And so the Buffalo Bills don't have an elite wide receiving core. But what do they have? They have elite quarterbacks. So wide receiver is largely nothing for me, at least. Mike McNeely. Unfortunately, I feel like this is another offseason of trying to address the same problem, but it seems like injuries have spoiled it. I feel like we're going to have to rely on Allen as usual on Sunday. I don't think that we're nearly in as bad of a situation as we were earlier. So I feel like we're okay. And do you feel like Derrick Henry versus McDermott stat you always state is a little irrelevant because those numbers were when he was in Tennessee and was the only weapon versus now when you can't focus solely on that? So not particularly. So I do think normally you do need to account for how effective an offensive line is. So during those prime years when Tennessee had a very good offensive line, with Taylor Lewan, for example, was an absolute dog when it came into run blocking. That was a large reason why Henry started going off that one year in 2020. For me, no, not at all. Because like you game plan against the specific player and you game plan based off of his overall environment. So no, right? And what I do like to do is I always like to look at what this defense does when fully healthy. And when Buffalo is fully healthy, and the most recent example was the playoff game, we ultimately ended up holding Derrick Henry to about what, like 70 to 80 yards per usual. So that's good. And that's how I feel about it. So no, I don't think that it means nothing, especially since it's so consistent. The Chiefs have the refs. Look at that. We have Eagles won a Super Bowl with one of the best wide receiving duos in the NFL. Where would you put that in order of priority, though, for why they won the Super Bowl last year, right? Because number one, I'd probably give it to their defensive line. I'd probably give it to the interior pass rush. Like holding Patrick Mahomes to 9 points in the Super Bowl is certainly something to celebrate. I'd probably put that on to Saquon Barkley as well. Like with A.J. Brown, he's a dog. He's like a top 5 wide receiver in the league. But like Smith, right? Like he's a really good wide receiver too. I probably wouldn't go crazy with Jahan Dotson either, right? So I don't particularly see everyone's obsession with, oh, wide receiver, when we quite literally have an entire returning cast. Most of our leading contributors are back when we quite literally averaged over 30 points per game. It's tough for me to do that, right? Very tough. Question, with the open roster spot, would there be a chance of bringing up Poyer for this game just as a Bishop backup just due to the wagon they are? So I'm having a hard time seeing any sort of practice squad elevation, right? Yeah, I just don't see it. And so I just don't see it. I think that Poyer is also going to be put on ice, barring some crazy injury bug that hits the safety room. And so it sounds like McDermott is very good with Cole Bishop and Taylor Rapp and being the starters. And then say that they're in a pinch, they'd probably end up going with Hancock before Jordan Poyer. That's where I'm at. We have Joker. Has there been any news on Hancock? He was a full participant in practice today. So that's good. So that is good, folks. Full participant in practice, Jordan Hancock. They barely threw the ball last year. They didn't. We have Hamilton will probably cover Kincaid a lot this game. Didn't Henry average 5 yak in that playoff game, though? So like yards after reception for sure, but still 70 to 80 yards. Knockout 87. I'm just worried about how banged up this defense already is. We have knockout 7. Not to be a Debbie Downer, but there is a thing called regression. Cook is not going to score 18 touchdowns. I mean, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, right? So, like, he's out there 45% of the time. So he's not like a Kyron Williams who is out there for, 60 to 75% of the snaps. That's kind of where we're at. And the D line got beefier too to stop Henry. Way too early to be talking about an elevation of Poyer from practice squad for the first game. Oh my God. All right, folks. That's going to have to do it for a special episode of the Dom Mafia Report. I am about to be live on the AFC East Roundtable. It is a show where myself, a Jets fan, Patriots fan, and Dolphins fan meet every single Wednesday evening, and we discuss everything happening around the AFC East. Today, obviously, we are going to be previewing the Week 1 games all across the league. Bills fans have been dominating the chat over there for, I'd say, about a year now. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that that continues. So say, for example, that you would like to come over and hang out with us, right? You are going to be redirected over to that channel the second that I hit stop on this stream. The second that you do that, folks, we will see you over there. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you at the round table, and be prepared for a hell of an episode. Peace.